that's actually the oldest. So the oldest railway line was actually built in Durban from the old, where the passenger ships used to dock.
Mm-hmm.
So basically opposite the breakfast room where the old station is. That's where people used to come out, and their first railway line was built from there into town. Wow. That's the oldest one. It's not in the Cape, it's actually here. So fantastic, they're fixing up the old station building now.
How old is it then? How old would that make that railway line?
So the railway line was built in 1860.
1860?
Yeah.
Wow. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Expect Performance podcast. On the show with me today is Ruth from Durban Walking Tours. And if you are interested in the history of Durban, if you're interested in the history of your town, then this episode is for you. Durban Walking Tours are award-winning walking tours, 3 times the best walking tour in Durban. And in this episode, Ruth takes me through the historical relics and secrets that Durban has to offer, from the tremendous history on the Point to the Umgani River to Florida Road to the Grey Street Market. Everything that is about Durban is in here, and if you want to feel stoked and proud about your town and your city and what Durban has to offer, then please give this one a listen. And please check out Walking Tours. The link is in the show notes, and be sure to join them on one of their fantastic tours in the near future. Please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Ruth from Durban Walking Tours, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a history geek myself. I enjoy finding out what's happened in the past. How can we learn from the past to take an appreciation of what's come before us? We record from Durban Country Club, which has quite a significant history in the Durban community. Over 100 years it's been here. And you, along with some other of your fellow tour guides, Lynn, who's here today as well, are involved with Durban Walking Tours.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I mean, you've won some awards over the last 3 years as well, 2022, 2023, 2024, best tour guide in the best tour guide category for Durban tourism. So congratulations, you guys are obviously doing some fantastic work and bringing awareness to the relics and the little bit of history the lot of history that Durban has. How did you get into Durban Walking Tours?
Okay, so Durban Walking Tours, I must maybe go a step back. So I've been in the travel industry for the last 23 years. Mm-hmm. And I have been doing a lot of overland tours around South Africa, around Southern Africa actually. And then, 2020 hit. I was actually up in Botswana, and I said, hey, you must go home. You send your tourists home, and COVID hit. So from 100 down to 0, and what to do now? So first we had a nice holiday, taking a nice break. It was good to be home, but then what to do? And tourism had to get back. We had to go back to work, and that's when we started with Durban Walking Tours, taking actually locals around here. I think the difference was also, there was people before who tried to do walking tours in Durban, and I think it all shifted during COVID, and people started having an interest what's actually in front of their doorstep.
Yeah.
Also, there was you couldn't really go anywhere, so it all shifted at that time, I think worldwide, not obviously just here, and people started actually looking what's there. So that's how it actually took off.
Wow. And what sort of tours do you guys do? I mean, I've seen there's quite a wide variety of tours that you do, but can you give me a list of the walking tours that you do in the Greater Durban area?
Yeah, so what we do, they're mostly, it's historical walking tours, so more in the inner city of Durban. We did do some city tours, not so much at the moment. We do like Grey Street, which is also a bit of shopping, but there's a lot of history down there. Visiting those places while we're actually in that area. We do the Warwick markets. Yeah. Big interest, not just for the locals. We have a lot of internationals who like to see the Warwick markets. And the other thing is for school classes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've been to the Warwick markets on a school excursion. I remember going to do that. There's quite a lot of trepidation going to those Warwick markets. I mean, the obvious barrier to entry would be safety. You know, is it safe to go to the Warwick markets? What would you say to people who have that misconception?
Okay, so the problem is it is the misconception because they haven't been there. I have been taking tourists there for the last 20 years. So I have never had any issues, but again, leave your gold chain at home, like in any other city, you know, less days to take. So no worries. Actual fact that people are actually very friendly there. By now they also know us. We generally wear quite bright shirts. Our Durban Walking, they know us by now. They wave at us, they say hello. It's actually quite a friendly atmosphere there. So if you do have school classes, bigger groups, we do sometimes take somebody from the market as well. It's just to also see that everybody actually sticks together. So no issues there.
Fantastic. Okay, so carry on. So what other walks do you do? Yeah,
so that's the ones more in the inner city. Then the most popular ones are actually down at the Point. And when you say about safety, unfortunately, there's still a lot of people who have got that misconception that the Point is not safe. It is 100% safe down there. That area really changed since 2019, total different area. There is so much history down there, so that is really one of the best-selling tours we have. We do have a hidden gem. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but that's part of the tour, which you will find out if you come and join it. And we are actually going over to the bluff for that as well, and see the gun emplacements, then come back. So that's a 4-hour tour, very, very popular. And then there's the other one, which we do now, is going to the old whaling station.
Yeah.
Lots of history there. So it's a nice walk, that one. You do have to have a basic level of fitness. It's about a 10K walk, so that's our longest walk we do. We're not a hiking club, we are walking tours. So
yeah.
It's 10Ks, but as we do tell you the story behind the whaling station, and there's so much for it as well. So that's those. Then we do one at Marianhill Monastery. It's such a nice village. For me, it's quite surprising. A lot of Durbanites have actually never been to Marianhill.
I haven't.
Oh, no. There we go. So it's not so much about the religion there or but the village itself and how it actually started. There's so much stories and history behind there. It's a beautiful old monastery there. It's actually the biggest Trappist monastery in the world.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we do have, so with all our walking tour, we always add a little bit of an extra. So we do then go actually into the private residence of the brothers and into the cloister area, which is a no-go area if you just go there on your own.
Okay.
So
how did that start, the Marianhill Monastery?
I do have a bit of family history with Marianhill. I'm actually, probably here I've got an accent, so I'm Swiss born. But through my family in Switzerland, we actually had a relation to Marianhill Monastery. Funny that I actually end up here, but and when we started with the walking tour, I said, why can't we go to the monastery? There's so much there, and that's how we started it off.
And what is the history of the monastery itself? Like, when did it start? When was it built? What purpose does it serve now in a modern context?
So, okay, what we have today, obviously it's still, there's about 60 brothers there, there's about 50 sisters still in the convent side there. They have got the schools going there, there's still workshops that are functioning. A lot of people think there's nothing going on anymore. No, they still have a carpentry, they still make the best candles probably around, or here in SA. They got a tailor going there, they got 2 printing works there. And again, if you go, the architecture is just fantastic. So what's very modern now, everybody goes on a Camino. They call any hike a Camino now, which is actually wrong, but in actual fact, we could do a proper Camino here in KZN. So if you maybe know, if you drive up to Anderburg, you see the Reichenau mission. If you go to Ikopo, there's those ones. All the Marian ones, they sort of belong to Marianhill. Marianhill is the main monastery, and the other ones are the mission stations. So there's actually 22 here in KZN, and you can actually walk from one mission station to the next one, and you can actually do a proper Camino.
Sure. And let's take it back to the Point side. I mean, that area has transformed tremendously over the last few years. We spend a lot of time down at the Point at DUC and the likes. But there's tremendous history in that area. I mean, with respect to, like, for example, the Point Bastille, a lot of people don't know that there used to be a prison there.
Exactly.
Can you tell me about some of the relics that people should come and see when and why they should take an interest in something like that when they use your tours?
So exactly, a lot of people don't actually know that it was the old prison. So if you just drive down there, there's some nice houses and they are fixing them up now. But what it's actually used for, I think that's... So on those tours, we give you the history behind it, but we also tell you what's happening now, what's planned for the future. Why are they leaving only the facade standing but nothing is done at the back?
Yes.
So we'll give you the whole background of the point.
So why is that the case? Why are they leaving the facades?
Because they're under protection, they are 60 years and older.
Oh, okay.
So they're not allowed to break them down, which is great. So those old buildings are being preserved. If you actually go there right now, they are busy painting now and fixing up the old station building. And I'll just give you a small example there. That's actually the oldest. So the oldest railway line was actually built in Durban from the old, where the passenger ships used to dock. So basically opposite the breakfast room where the old station is. That's where people used to come out, and their first railway line was built from there into town.
Wow.
That's the oldest one. It's not in the Cape, it's actually here. So fantastic, they're fixing up the old station building now.
How old is it then? How old would that make that railway line?
So the railway line was built in 1860.
1860?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
It's 165 years, eh?
it's old. So
Cracky
the
Moses.
next thing is when you're driving down there, just for Durbanites as well, wherever you go in the city, it will actually tell you the history as well. So when you drive out of the point, you get to the one set of traffic lights, there's the old steam train actually on the back wall of the old Vic Bar. That's there because it's the oldest railway line that used to pass there.
Wow. Jeez, that is amazing. And then what about the Bastille? So tell me about the prison that was there and the purpose that served historically.
So the old prison was built in 1932, and it wasn't like for hardened criminals. So basically they had prisoners there, and most of those prisoners then actually had to go and work on the docks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So and what type of criminals? I use that term in inverted commas, given the history. But like small misdemeanors and that sort of thing?
Probably the small stuff.
Yeah,
yes,
and then they would work on the docks and then they'd go back there
Exactly.
in the evenings.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about you cross the bluff and then you get into the whaling station? Now, I've been doing some research on that and fascinating. Again, something that I didn't know, up until probably about 3 weeks ago when I started researching and prepping and that. So fascinating that something like that hasn't gained more traction in the mainstream local community. Obviously, you guys are doing a fantastic job bringing awareness to that and showing people around that history. But can you shed some light onto the whaling station for me?
Okay, so maybe the one that you know on the other side of the bluff, that's actually the third whaling station. So the first whaling station used to be actually at the harbour mouth, at the entrance to the harbour. So when you stand at the waterfront, at the Point Waterfront, you look across, you see that sort of slipway. That's where they used to pull the whales out. And that's where the first whaling station used to be. But what happened is, and if you speak to anybody that's ever been to a whaling station or to the older folks here in Durban, the one thing they will tell you first was the smell.
Yeah.
Apparently it was terrible. Yeah. So that was one of the reasons why they actually then moved it to the other side of the bluff. Remember at that time the bluff didn't actually belong to the borough of Durban. It was outside the boundary line. So anything that sort of had a smell or whatever, it was put that side, and then they moved it to the other side, to the seaside of the bluff, because the smell was just horrendous.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, so then they built that railway line that went around. And where we have the treatment works now, that was one of the whaling stations. And then the second one is the one you're referring to, where now we have the ruins basically that's left there.
Yeah. And how old is that are those whaling stations?
So the first one was built in 1908. Yes, in 1908. And then through the Larson's family, the Union Whaling Station, the third one where we're going to go to, or where we walk to, that one was built in 1950.
Okay. And then
Or actually they started before, but the buildings you have are basically from the 50s upwards.
Yeah. And those were functional and operational until?
Till here in Durban it was till 1975, and
Okay.
in 1986 whaling was banned.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have 4 countries that do whaling, but in Durban we stopped. So Durban actually had the biggest land-based whaling station in the world.
Sure. And then, so how would they get these whales? I mean,
So the whales migrate past here, so
Yeah.
that was the first reason. So they actually basically could just go out a few kilometers, 50 kilometers from here, catch the whales, bring them in, they would tow them in, they would shoot them with harpoons.
okay, so they'd take a boat out, harpoon them, and then draw them in through there.
That's right, through the harbour mouth.
Yeah.
We'll bring it in there, so they would actually pump them full of air. It's not a nice history, but yes, they'll pump them full of air, they will bring them in, and then from there they would put them like on a train, on a flatbed, one whale would put on there, and then we'll take them around to the whaling station, one to the first one where the treatment works is now, and then to the second one, and from there they would cut them into blubber, the fat,
Yeah.
the meat,
Yeah.
the bones, and use the products there.
Sure. And Florida Road for me is a fascinating road. It's been, it's a massive part of the center of Morningside, and it's now a hub for lots of commercial activity, restaurants, bars, etc. But there's a unique history about Florida Road, and can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so the unique history about Florida Road is actually the old elephant track. So till about the 1850s, 60s, we still obviously had elephants, we had lions, we had everything here in town. And that's actually the pathway they used. They would walk down there towards Greyville, and where we have today, where we have the Greyville race course. Sorry, that's actually used to be a swamp area. It's still sometimes now when it rains.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take much to become a swamp.
No. And that's where the elephants used to go and drink water.
Sure. And then that's where, is it Elephant House? That's on top of the hill, hey?
That's right on the top on a
Yeah.
ridge road. That's the Elephant House, which is the oldest still standing house in Durban.
Yeah.
And originally it was actually built as a hunting lodge.
Seriously?
Yes.
So it was built for a hunting lodge, and then it was inadvertently built, on the Elephant Trail?
No, it was a bit off it, but the elephants... So the elephant house is just above Jameson Park.
Yeah.
So it's slightly off it, but the elephants would also walk there. It was like a nuisance for them. They used to sort of rub themselves against the house. It was absolutely in the pathway. They didn't like it, and yeah.
Umgani River, has that river always run there, or has it been rerouted over the course of time?
It has been rerouted. So we drive from Umgeni Road, we go past the stadium, past there. That's actually how the Umgeni used to run, where Umgeni Road is now.
And tell me about your shopping experience. You can take people people go to Dubai and they have a shopping experience in Dubai. We have our own unique shopping experience here in KZN. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so that's more Lynn's field, not mine. But yeah, so Grey Street, really, you can find anything, as I actually always say, legal and not so legal.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of fakes there, but there's some really good shops, like leather shops, leather handbags. Yes, they are second-hand, but you can find some really good bargains there. For example, you can do a lot of, if you like sewing or whatever, so we still have a lot of tailors that actually go and buy the materials in Grey Street. That's what it was always known for. You can find any from T-shirts to shoes, really cheap, good bargains.
Yeah.
So it depends what you are looking for. I love to go to a spice shop and buy some nice spices, or if you need some saffron, or you find anything in Grey Street.
And what about the history of Grey Street? How did it start?
So originally it was actually like an Indian area, but there was also places where it was mixed area. If it was part of it was also a bit illegal, but yeah, it was like a trading area for the Indian people, where they firstly used to sell their vegetables, the fish, the materials, and it developed from there.
And then how old is the Grey Street Market?
So Grey Street, the mosque there was built in 1880. So remember that time with the indentured laborers that came, the Muslims that followed out of today's Pakistan, they basically opened the shops there. They needed a place to worship, so hence we got the oldest mosque there and the biggest mosque.
Okay,
And,
really?
Yeah.
Biggest mosque where, in Durban?
In the southern hemisphere.
In the southern hemisphere?
Yes, it's the biggest one. So we do have a bigger one in size, which is Midrand Mosque.
Yeah.
But this one takes more worshippers than the one at Midrand.
Seriously?
Yeah, it can actually take 7,000 people in the mosque. So if you want to go on a Friday into Grey Street, it's chaos. Go early, don't go too late, because everybody goes to the mosque.
Jeepers. That's crazy, eh?
So there's a lot of history around there as well, which you can bring together with like Gandhi. He obviously lived in this country for 21 years, not all the time here in Durban, but there's a lot of history. There's a lot of nice, if you talk about shopping, there's a lot of nice alleyways where you can buy like your bead stuff and.
Really,
Yeah.
yeah. What are the links between Gandhi and Grey Street that you like to share with folks?
So he actually owned some land there, and his first printing, he did it later out in Inyanda, but his first shop was actually in Grey Street. Then he owned some land, which he then given to the Indian Congress. There's a little museum there now, and his attorney's office was more down towards the Embankment, but actually in the inner city there's a lot of little places where he used to work from, or we would hold meetings, and lots of history there.
What about some buildings that people don't know about along that Durban sort of Golden Mile going into the Point area? I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I often find myself, you look at these different buildings and they look like they've been unoccupied, but they're old and they're beautiful architecture and beautifully designed, but they're unoccupied. And I've often wondered, like, what was that used for in the past? Are there some real feature buildings that are along that Golden Mile, all the way going from, like, starting here from like Blue Lagoon going south to the Point, that people should know about and appreciate the history of those buildings and what they were originally suited for?
Yeah, so I'm actually just going to give you the one example, which is quite south, which is the Addington Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
So that hospital was actually the biggest and most modern children's hospital in Africa. It was built in the 1930s. So that children's hospital was actually closed down in 1986, and the reason for it was because they treated children of all color. It was a only whites area.
Yeah.
And so that was the reason why they closed it down. Hence, you still have the nursing home on the side, which still looks in the shambles. It looks terrible right now. But the actual children's hospital has been, or they are busy renovating it. So there's a big part. It's been operational again since 2013. There's an adolescent center in there. There's a psychology center in there. They're opening a part of it now for children with cerebral palsy. So there's been a lot of work that has been done. And just like in the old days when it was actually opened up, a third of the funds came from the public. So they are looking for donations. Some companies donate to it, or golf tournaments.
Yeah.
Or we've had Elton John, who donated a really substantial amount of money towards it.
Elton John?
Yes,
Really?
when he was here in 2016 for the World AIDS Conference.
Sure.
A third comes here from the government and from the state. So it's US aid was part of it. Obviously, that's fallen away now. But that building is beautiful now. It's actually, we do a charity walk there. And so you have the new, and there's also behind the new wall, there's still the old, which hasn't been renovated. It's a really interesting building to see. But it looks beautiful on the outside now. But it's just the side where the nurses used to stay, that is still, they need a lot of money for that. So that's not the priority right now.
So
maybe
Ruth,
we'll do it.
you've been involved in this for 5 years now, more or less, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's 4 years now.
4 years. What have you learnt about this process of taking people around Durban? There must have been some misconceptions that you might have had personally going into Durban and showing people about the history. What have you learnt yourself on this journey over the last 4 years?
I've learned a lot because I'm actually not Durban born, so
Yeah.
so yeah, I learn every day, and it's interesting to hear the stories from the people. Oh, that's what used to be, and when we were there, and their stories. So yeah.
Where do you get the information from? Like, do you get them from textbooks? Is it word of mouth from people who used to live there at the time, and stories that have been passed down over generations?
It's a bit of everything, yes. There's obviously what you can read up on the history. People will also always, they're happy to share their stories with you, and that's how you actually learn and you pick up new things. I always find the stories actually interesting, those that you can't read. So
Yeah.
people actually telling you the stories, that's what used to happen there. Those are actually important for me.
Yeah, like word of mouth stories.
Word of mouth stories, yeah.
And speak about the partnership with the Department of Tourism, for example. Let me rephrase this more specifically. What have you noticed over the last 4 or 5 years with respect to the tourism and coming into the area? Maybe if we focus on things like how much of your clientele is locally based, how much is internationally based, what is the feedback that you get from both local people and international people when they accompany you on these tours?
So, firstly, we had much more, obviously, local people coming on the tours because of COVID at that time. And there's definitely a shift now towards international now. But what's also happening, so a lot of the local people have been on the tours. We definitely had, I think, when we first started, we probably had about 80-90% local people. So what happens now, maybe their families come to visit, so you have a lot of expats that come back to visit the families here,
Yeah.
and they've been told, hey, but you should go and see your city where you grew up and take those tours. So, and yeah, now obviously there's another shift now, we get a lot more tourists coming back to Durban, especially with the cruise ships, so they will actually book in advance. Once they arrive here, we take them as well on tours here.
Okay. And if you had to give me like a percentage, is it like 50%, 80% local, 20% international? Can you give me like a rough?
I would say it's probably about 60% local and probably about 40% international.
Okay. And the feedback that you get from the locals, are they do they take quite an interest in what they've learned on these tours? Do a lot of people know these things already and just find it interesting to go there in person, or is the majority of the stuff that you show them completely new and novel to them?
So for a lot of locals, there's actually a lot of new stuff to them. So yes, you maybe know one thing, but then like on the point, yeah, they drive past it all the time, but we actually didn't know what it was. Oh, I actually didn't realize that was here. So they drive with total different eyes, and they've been told through the point now, for example, than what they used to before.
Yeah. And the overseas people, your overseas clientele?
Yeah, so for internationals, we do offer different tours because that would be too intense about the buildings on the point. Yes, you can cover some of that, but maybe not as much. So we give more of an overview. So when you're there, you can show, but 170 years, yes, the elephants still used to walk into town. Or Durban is actually, okay, this year it's 201 years old since the first settlement happened here.
Yeah.
They never used it. So it's a very different approach for an overseas person than what you actually do for local.
Yeah. And your personal favorite is the point?
Yeah, I like the point, or actually I like the whaling station. So
Yeah.
I like that history behind it. But it's nice, all of them. Just like now in July or during the school holidays, we always do like family tours, kids activity tours. We've just done 2 of them now. They're actually also very nice. So we have families coming together and we do a bit of a walk in the Botanical Gardens, which is, by the way, looking really good again.
Is it?
And a lot of people should actually go and visit it again. I know it's had a bit of a downtime, but it's yeah, it's really good. So we do that. We use the local bus. It's very simple. We use the local people mover bus. Most kids even adults have never been on a bus here in Durban.
Yeah.
We take a drive with the bus down into the city centre. We go to the Natural Science Museum, and then back on the bus again, and down to the point, and onto the canals on the boat, and very different tour, but it's actually also really nice doing it with the family. So you have sometimes the grandparents take their little ones or whoever, or you have friends and their kids that come on these tours.
Yeah.
So the whole mix is actually nice.
Yeah, we enjoyed the Botanical Gardens. We used to walk our dogs quite a lot there. What's something about the Botanical Gardens that everybody should know? Like if there was one piece of information that you wish everybody could know about that special place, what would you tell them? What like little piece of history or something to just capture their attention to be like, oh, I need to go and check that out?
Okay, for all those who wonder where Curry's fountain is standing now, it is in the Botanical Gardens, so go and look for it.
Really, eh? Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, there's much more. So Botanical Gardens actually has got a lot of medicinal plants in it. And for some of it, I don't really want to say too much about those because they're even taking the plaques away so people don't go and take it. So there's other stuff that's really special about the Botanical Garden. But it's it's for free. It's in the city centre. You can go for a walk. You can go for a picnic there. It's got fantastic bird life as well, so not just the plants.
It does. I saw a palm nut vulture there.
Absolutely. There's a new, yes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. They moved in there. There's one couple there. That's really nice to see.
Yeah. Are they still there?
They're still there, yes.
Okay. That's very cool.
Well spotted.
Yeah. It's amazing. There was I Wikipedia'd it at the time. There was something like it's either 7 or 9 known nesting sites nationally, if I remember correctly, of palm nut vultures. Like they're incredibly rare.
Yeah, they're very rare. So the one where they're really known is up in Umtunzini.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the palm nut vultures, the palm nuts from this causey palm. So there you see them regularly.
Yeah.
But there's less and less of these palms around. There's a few of them in the garden.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. They actually started to catch fish as well. Sometimes they're there, but you can see, or even St. Lucia, there's a pair there. They don't really have those palm nuts anymore, and they've actually started fishing more now.
What about the Victoria Embankment? Do you guys do any tours or walks down on that side?
We have been doing tours down there, but the interest is not that great to walk down there. So,
is it?
Yeah.
So your most
There's the old Durban Club, the old Gentlemen's Club, and whatever that you can visit down there if you're into like your Art Deco buildings. Yes, there's actually a lot of history down there. We actually in Durban, we have got the oldest yacht club in the country as well. So, yeah, there would be a lot there, but the interest is not that great to go and see the walk down there. Must say they have cleaned it up a lot lately, so it's looking good down there.
Your most popular tours, is it the Point?
It's the Point,
so
yeah.
Point is
and
your
the whaling station, yeah.
Point in the whaling station, huh? And how are things trending now? We've emerged out of COVID, tourism starting to global tourism is on the uptake again. Have you seen more of an interest in your tours and generally speaking in tourism locally in Durban? Are things starting to pick up a little bit?
So I think for the locals, there's many more options now to go and do different stuff. So, but what we do have more is more international coming through now than local.
Okay.
So there's a shift there now, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you say that's mostly from the cruise liners?
Cruise liners or even individual people traveling through here.
Okay.
Staying in Durban.
Wonderful.
So Durban Tourism, they're really trying to promote Durban again, and they've done a lot of work for that. We had a lot of upcountry people obviously down here now, more people from Joburg, also for the Durban July, for example, or for some sporting events. There's some really good ones coming up this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we were walking on the Durban Promenade the Saturday before the Comrades Marathon, And sure, all the running clubs were out, and they were marching up and down the promenade in their different colors and chanting their different songs, and it was just wonderful to see, and then it got me thinking about KZN at large, and the amount of globally recognized events that we have in KZN that you can't find anywhere else in the world. The Comrades Marathon, the Mid-Mile Mile, which is the largest open water swim, Sani to Sea, Belito Pro finished here last week, Amashova, the Doozy. You've got people that these events captivate the local community. You've got obviously Durban July, which happened over the weekend. But there seems to be something about Durban and KZN where people appreciate testing themselves against the elements. And if they're not prepared to do that themselves, then they at least have an appreciation of wanting to watch other people do it. And it's quite something when you think of what it means to be in KZN. I've grown up in KZN. Everybody knows about. We used to go there and have a squattle on the Sunday and park your car and then watch the people come through and comrades and I've done the Mid-Mile Mile quite a few times, and then you've got the Doozy, etc., etc. Often at some stage or another, people invariably end up going to the Durban July at some stage, and these are events that are the best in the country at what it is that they're hosting. And I just can't help but feel that we have to just continue to tap into those sort of things. There's so much in KZN that we can be proud of. We've had a lot of bad press, and rightly so, with how the city's deteriorated, particularly over the last 15 years. But I definitely start to see it turning. You look at the work that they're doing at Moses Mabhida, for example, redoing that. This whole sporting precinct, the amount of money that's gone into Durban Country Club. DUC down on the Point, and how the Point has turned around over the last 15, 20 years. There is so much that we can tap into here. We've got the best surf, with the exception of J-Bay, probably in the country. Surfers every single day are out, especially now over the next sort of 2 or 3 months. There's just so much that Durban and KZN has to offer, and it's so nice to see that people like yourself and like Lynn and the rest of the team are doing as much as you can to bring attention and to awareness and to educate people around what they can be proud of in Durban and the history in Durban, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to actually showcase when the people are here, how the city is changing around. They're doing a lot of stuff, so that's what we need to show. So for me, what hurts me a lot is, or sometimes the media. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we are our worst enemy about it. I'll give you an example. In December, they said, there was a beach was closed in Durban because of sewage. And I was reading the article, and yes, it was in Yovongo. I mean, it's about 150 Ks. It's not Durban. Yes, it may be KZN. Mm. The same happens down in Hemsiphere. Clifton they had, but they don't go in the water because it's cold. Yeah. So everybody goes on about Durban, yes, we do have a problem about it, but you know what, they're actually doing stuff about it now. I know people that actually swam down at the Point all this time when all this talk was on. I
was one of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
didn't get sick.
No. So when, unfortunately, and I'm just going to say it, but a lot of expats don't do us any good. Because they ride on the negative stuff to maybe justify things.
Yeah, justify why they left.
Yes, and there's people commenting on social media, and when you ask them, but when last have you been to that place that you just commented on? And they say, 20 years ago. I have my fights with tour guides from Cape Town. They say, but Durban. And they say, but when last have you actually been on the promenade? Oh, no, it's long ago. So why do you even comment on it?
Yeah, exactly.
So that really what gets me. And we as Durban Walking Tours, we also try to put really a positive there to, hey, it's not like that. And we should be real. yes, we have problems, but we also have fixed up of a lot of problems, and there's a lot of positives for Durban, and that's what we need to put out there.
Absolutely.
So even for KZN, I'm a big fan of KZN, so I love the whole South Africa, the whole of Southern Africa, I mean, but unfortunately, when we advertise KZN, it's always difficult because we don't have that flat mountain. Mm-hmm. We don't, our game reserves, a lot of people can't pronounce them because it's not Kruger Park.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to actually market KZN. But we've got everything here. We've got warm water here. We've got proper mountains inland. We've got all the different cultures here. There is so much. We've got fantastic game reserves. We've got fantastic private game reserves. So what I mean with public ones, like in some velo parks, then we got the private game reserves.
Yeah.
We've got it all here. We just had a very good sardine run.
Yeah.
You can come and do whale watching here. It's all here. We got fantastic scuba places. We got our golf courses here. You try to get a tea of time in the Cape, it's not possible because it's all pre-booked. We got fantastic golf courses here. There's so much to offer here.
Yeah, KZN is based largely on a very outdoor lifestyle,
Absolutely.
isn't it? You know, making use of the ocean and what the ocean has to offer, either being at the beach or going snorkeling or free diving at Allawal Shoal, for example, fishing, playing golf. You know, there's wonderful golf courses all the way up and down south and north coast. Another one's popped up as Zimbali Lakes on the north coast now. So it's about being outdoors, and if anybody's been on the Durban promenade at like 7 or 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, they'll know half of Durban is marching up and down that promenade, and it's diverse. It's every different type of person that you can imagine, having such a lack of time, having such a lack of jaw. That park run, going the 5Ks all the way down from where they started Pirates.
Pirates, yeah.
Yeah, they started Pirates, and then they head towards the harbour mouth. I mean, it's just fantastic. And like you say, the misinformation that's been spread over the last year about the Durban beachfront has been tremendously damaging, and it's important that we get that contrary narrative out to let people know that. I mean, the Ushaka, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Ushaka tests that water down by Addington because they draw a lot of their ocean water from there. And I mean, that water's been privately tested the entire time. Yes. And there's been no there's been no issues. The open water swimming group, the DUC, I mean, they head out like 2 or 3 times a week. I used to join them quite regularly when I was swimming quite often. I didn't get sick once. And sometimes there's a bit of a chop and it feels like you swallow half the bloody ocean. And I didn't get sick once, you know. And it's quite remarkable that the damage that it's done. People still ask me, you know, is it safe to go and swim in the water? Like, it's been safe for 2 years.
Absolutely.
You know? So things like the podcast, things like the work that you guys are doing is crucial in overcoming that negative perception that now some of the locals have because of the bad press that's been fed to them, unjustifiably so in a lot of the cases. So if people want to get in touch with you, they want to get in touch with Durban Walking Tours, and they want to find out more about their city and the history that it has, where can people find you if they want to book your next tour?
Yeah, so the easiest is actually just to go on our website, durbanwalkingtours.co.za. All the information is there. So we have on there some information, the tours we are doing. Then there's also scheduled tours on there, so you can book online. And if you're looking for private tours, you can book on there as well, or send us an email, or send us a WhatsApp. That's actually just the easiest to do.
Wonderful. I'll include all the places they can find you online. I'll include in the show notes. Ruth, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Keep up the good work. Keep up raising awareness and showing people all the cool stuff that's happening in and around Durban and KZN.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the invite.
Pleasure.